Drop the bag. Put your hands on your head. Let him go.
Take this out, Percy.
What are you doing, Michael?
It started. There isn't much time.
It's early morning, 2 days before Christmas. A man crashes down from the sky, covered in blood. The man, Michael, strips off his clothes, and wings push out from his back. He picks up a large knife, cuts into his own flesh, ripping his wings off. He screams in pain as a halo appears above his head and slowly drops down around his neck like a collar. Then, it just falls off. He breaks into a warehouse and patches up his wounds. After that, he walks into a room full of guns and loads up on large caliber weapons. 2 cops on patrol nearby get caught in an explosion, and Michael walks out of the fire. The cops point their guns at him and tell him to drop his bags. The radios start blowing up with emergency calls. Michael hears it all. He says it has begun and that there isn't much time. One of the cops walks toward Michael. Michael takes him down fast. The other cop suddenly starts shaking, his head snapping back and forth at an unnatural speed before going still. His eyes go wide and black, and his teeth turn into sharp spikes. He speaks in a voice that doesn't sound like his own, telling Michael he has disobeyed orders. Michael says he's following his own orders now. The cop tells him he's going to die, along with the child. The cop opens fire. Michael dodges and shoots back. The cop goes down, and Michael drives off. Every light shuts off as he passes by. A young man named Jeep wakes up early in the morning, and a young pregnant woman named Charlie calls out to him. They sit together, and Charlie asks if he had another bad dream. Jeep says yes, and Charlie tells him he needs to stop worrying so much about his father. Jeep tells her the only thing he worries about is her. Charlie teases him, pointing out that he's stressing over a pregnant woman carrying a baby that isn't even his. Charlie says the baby will have a new family in about a month because she's not ready to be a mother. Jeep offers to help her raise the child, but Charlie tells him to stop worrying about her. Later in the day, Bob, Jeep's father, opens up his diner and fiddles with the TV trying to get better reception. A man with a hook for a hand named Percy makes a joke at Bob's expense. A rebellious young woman named Audrey stands near the jukebox, and her mother Sandra makes it clear she doesn't like how Audrey is dressed. Sandra's husband Howard, fed up with Sandra going on about it, just tells Audrey what Sandra thinks. Audrey fires back with a sarcastic comment. A man named Kyle is out driving and notices the nearest car service is 50 miles away. He thinks about pulling into the diner. He spots a pregnant Charlie outside smoking and wishes her a Merry Christmas, then asks for directions and realizes he's completely off course. Charlie and Kyle both head inside the diner, where an impatient Sandra is on Howard's case about leaving. Kyle asks to use Bob's phone, and Howard asks Bob when their car is going to be fixed, saying they've been waiting too long. Bob goes to check on Jeep and finds him not working on the car at all. Instead, polishing a crib for Charlie's baby. Jeep heads outside, and Bob follows, telling him to stop chasing after Charlie. Jeep pushes back, telling him he's been having terrible nightmares about Charlie. Horrible things happening to her, over and over again. He says he feels a powerful pull to look after her. Bob thinks Jeep is making a mistake, and would be better off leaving the diner to find a better life somewhere else. Bob heads back inside, and sees the TV has lost reception again. He tries to fix it, but all he gets is an emergency broadcast signal. Percy checks his radio and gets the same thing on every frequency. Everyone listens with unease as the flat emergency broadcast tone fills the diner. In Bob's office, Kyle finally gets through to his ex-wife, telling her he'll be there the next day to sign the divorce papers. He demands to talk to his son, but the call drops. He tries calling back, but the phone lines are completely dead. A frail old woman walks into the diner with a big smile on her face. Charlie takes her order and the woman strikes up a conversation with Sandra. Charlie brings the woman her food, and the woman asks about the baby. She asks about the father and how Charlie plans to raise the child on her own. Charlie says she can handle it, but the woman tells her the baby is going to burn. Charlie's caught off guard, but the old woman repeats it, this time with more profanity. Everyone in the diner hears it and turns to look. Charlie walks away, and the woman happily eats her food while flies swarm around her. She then announces that all babies are going to burn. Sandra tries to say something to her, but the woman insults her right back. Howard stands up to deal with the old woman, but she bites a chunk of flesh out of his neck. Percy throws a frying pan at her, snapping her neck back, but she gets up like nothing happened. The woman then jumps up and starts crawling across the ceiling. Bob grabs a shotgun and starts shooting at her. The woman slaps Bob across the room, and Jeep picks up the shotgun but freezes. The woman comes flying at him, her feet dragging along the floor. She suddenly drops dead after Kyle shoots her multiple times. Everyone in the diner rushes over to help Howard, who is bleeding badly. Kyle and Percy get Howard and his family into Kyle's car, and they head out toward the hospital. They drive straight into what looks like a cloud, but turns out to be a massive swarm of locusts. Kyle's car comes back, and Bob meets them outside, watching a thick swarm of locusts block out the sky overhead. The men move the old woman's body outside and spot a police car pulling up. The car stops, and Michael steps out. Bob aims the shotgun at him and tells him to stay back, then explains why. Michael doesn't seem bothered by any of it, and realizes that Bob and everyone else have no idea what's going on in the world. Michael grabs the weapon from Bob and points it at his head. Percy steps outside and tries to cool things down. Michael thinks it over and tells them that more people like that old woman are going to be showing up soon. He hands Bob back his shotgun and gives everyone else a firearm, including Charlie, but he tells her not to do anything brave. They all head into the diner and board it up. Night comes, and Michael takes the men up to the roof to get a better look at what's coming. They hear an ice cream truck rolling in, and a tall, lanky man climbs out. When he spots the men, he lets out a deep, guttural screech, and his limbs start stretching out. It charges at them, and they keep shooting until it goes down. More cars start rolling in, and Michael tells them to open fire. The vehicles stop, and the drivers all get out and start walking toward the diner. Michael keeps telling them to shoot, reminding them that these are no longer people. One of the attackers smashes through a window and starts dragging Howard away. Sandra, Audrey, and Charlie all jump in to help, but another attacker grabs Charlie, clearly excited that he's found her. Michael steps in and cuts the man's arm off. He shoots at the windows, and the attackers fall back. Michael then grabs a panicking Sandra and tells her Howard is dead. He turns to Charlie, clearly disappointed, and reminds her not to do anything brave. The men head back downstairs, and Bob demands to know what is going on. Michael tells everyone the truth. God has gotten angry and has ordered the complete destruction of the human race. The attackers they've been fighting off are just regular people, whose bodies are being used by angels. Nobody can believe it, saying they've never heard of angels acting like this. Jeep asks how Michael knows so much about the enemy, and Michael tells them he used to be on the angels' side. Bob cuts in, saying this is all ridiculous and that he doesn't believe in God. Michael tells him God feels the same way about humans, that he's lost faith in them too. Michael then says his one purpose now is to protect Charlie and her baby, because that child is humanity's only shot at survival. Michael says he doesn't care what any of them believe, but what's real is that the attackers outside want them all dead, and they especially want Charlie and her unborn baby. Michael then recalls the moment back in heaven when he was handed the order he refused. Gabriel tells him that humans have brought this judgment on themselves. Michael says it's an angel's job to guide humans, but Gabriel says their higher duty is to obey God. Michael knows in his heart he is right, because God built his heart with all of God's love, but Gabriel tells him it's too late, because the order to wipe out humanity has already been given. Michael watches as wave after wave of angels fill the sky. Sandra wakes up the next morning to a strange sound. She walks toward the back of the diner and hears Howard's voice. She looks through the back door and sees Howard kneeled upside down, covered in boils, calling out for her help. Kyle and Audrey try to stop her from going out, but she shoves past them and runs. Sandra gets close to Howard, but Howard's body explodes, spraying acid everywhere. Percy gets to her just in time. He carries her back into the diner and then collapses on the floor. The skin on Percy's back has been burned all the way down to the bone. Sandra gets tied to a chair, while Audrey tries to get her to eat something. Sandra then tunes on Audrey, telling her she's the reason all of this is happening to them. Later, Audrey flips through radio stations and finds a frequency with someone actually broadcasting. The broadcast talks about small groups of survivors who are fighting back against the possessed. But Michael says they can't risk leaving, because doing so would only make Charlie a more vulnerable target. Charlie later sits with Jeep and brings up the time she almost went through with an abortion before backing out. She figured she could always go back if she changed her mind, but eventually the doctor said it was too late and she was stuck with the baby. That's when she started resenting the child. The lights come back on and a car pulls up to the diner asking for gas. Kyle and Audrey get ready to shoot, but they see it's just a father and his young son. Then a group of troublemakers rolls in, runs the father over, and takes off with the kid. Kyle jumps down to help the kid and starts carrying him back. Bob pulls the barricade away, desperate to help, but Michael points a gun at him and threatens to shoot if he doesn't stop. Outside, it becomes clear the kid is possessed too when he bites down hard on Kyle's neck. Audrey jumps down to help, empties her gun, and gets swarmed. Charlie decides to take action when she sees Michael isn't moving. Not wanting Charlie in danger, Michael agrees to go get Audrey. He steps outside and takes out the attackers quickly, using the gasoline pump as a flamethrower. He grabs Audrey and they both sprint back into the diner just before everything explodes behind them. Charlie goes to get water and finds the kid has gotten inside. The kid comes at her with a knife, but Charlie holds him off until the knife slips and slices off the kid's own fingers. Charlie kicks him away, and the lights cut out again. The kid then grabs Bob, but Michael pulls him off, and Jeep shoots the possessed kid dead. The stress hits Charlie hard, and she goes into labor. As she starts pushing, a deep, continuous horn begins blasting from somewhere in the sky. Jeep and Bob go up to the roof and see the full crowd of possessed standing outside, just waiting. Charlie keeps pushing until a baby's cry breaks through the silence. Audrey brings the infant over to Sandra, but Sandra is already working on getting free from her restraints. Charlie asks if they're safe, and Michael says no, but now the child at least has a chance to live and lead what's left of humanity. Outside, the possessed hear the baby crying and start crying themselves. The horn blasts again, and a winged figure begins descending from the sky. Michael tells them God has sent Gabriel down to finish the job that was originally given to Michael. Jeep puts it together and realizes the order Michael refused must have been the order to stop this baby from ever being born. Charlie demands the truth, and Michael admits that yes, he was sent to eliminate the baby, but he also says the baby was never supposed to exist in the first place. Now that it does, the future is wide open, and God's original plan has changed. Charlie takes the baby from Audrey, but Sandra grabs it away from her. Sandra wants to hand the baby over to the possessed, so they'll all be left alone. Gabriel gets closer, and the horns grow louder. The doors blow open, and Michael shoots Sandra. Jeep dives to catch the baby and lands face to face with Gabriel. Gabriel swings his mace at Jeep, but Jeep rolls out of the way. Bob tries shooting Gabriel, but Gabriel is too quick, using his wings to block every shot. Gabriel then cuts straight through Bob's stomach. Michael holds Jeep back and tells him he has to leave with Charlie right now to keep the baby safe, and to follow the instructions. Michael, Audrey, and Charlie make their way to the police car, and every single possessed person steps aside and lets them through. Gabriel calls Michael God's rebellious son, and Michael points out that Gabriel has always been the one desperate to please their father. Gabriel is thrown off seeing Michael without wings and tells him his disobedience will be punished. Michael says what happens to him doesn't matter because the child is already born. Michael asks Gabriel for a truce, but Gabriel says no, telling him there's no other way. The two square up to fight as Jeep drives off, heading toward the survivor settlement they heard on the radio. Michael opens fire on Gabriel, and Gabriel thrashes and moves around trying to land a hit. Gabriel gets a shot in with his wings and wounds Michael, but Michael gets behind him and chokes him until Gabriel starts to give out. Gabriel then drives his mace into Michael. Michael drops to the ground, and Gabriel cries as he watches his brother die. Michael lights up and then disintegrates. As Jeep drives, markings begin appearing on his forearm, and he understands these are the instructions Michael was talking about. Gabriel goes back inside and finds Bob still alive. But Bob had been leaking gas into the room the whole time, and now he sparks his lighter. Gabriel flies out fast, but a massive fireball swallows the diner and all the possessed standing outside. Jeep, Charlie, and Audrey think they've made it when Gabriel comes crashing into their car. He grabs hold of the vehicle and newly gets his hands on the baby. Jeep floors it, and Audrey grabs Gabriel. Audrey shouts at Jeep to hit the brakes, and he does, sending Audrey and Gabriel flying forward. The car slams into a ditch. The baby and Charlie both make it out, and Jeep leads them up a mountain. Gabriel shows up again and corners Charlie, but Jeep throws himself at Gabriel and sends them both over a cliff. Gabriel gets ready to finish Jeep off, but Michael appears and stops him. Gabriel can't process what he's seeing. Michael openly defied God and somehow has been given his life back. Michael says it plainly. Gabriel only ever gave God what he wanted, but Michael gave God what he needed. Gabriel tries to hit Michael, but Michael is too fast, slicing through him before Gabriel even registers it. Michael lets a beaten Gabriel walk away. Michael tells Jeep that he is the true protector now. Jeep asks if they'll ever see each other again, and Michael tells him to keep his faith alive. Jeep and Charlie find the survivor settlement and get ready to raise humanity's last hope together. And with that, friends, this story comes to an end. Tell us in comment how you liked the explanation, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel.